Hey guys, hope you're all having a great day. So in today's video, I'm going to be planting and doing a little bit of transplanting as well. It's been raining almost nonstop here for the last few weeks, so I really haven't had too much of a chance to do stuff, but I'm not gonna let the rain stop me. I mean, it's just gonna keep raining, so I gotta get going with some more garden projects. But I do have a few plants that I picked up the other day, and I'm really excited to put these in the ground. So let me show you what I have, and then I'll show you where everything's gonna be going. So here's everything I have on the table. First of all, I have 3 Midnight Masquerade penstemon. These are a really cool plant that I have seen. I think I originally saw them when I went to Pennsylvania, if you happen to see that trip. They've got beautiful dark purple leaves, kind of like a burgundy color. And then this is what's kind of left. This is kind of the seed head from when the flowers are blooming on these. But they do have really beautiful flowers. I mean, you can see from here that they're more of like a pinkish color, pink and white. And they get pretty tall. They get a good like 36 to 40 inches tall. So we've got 3 of these. We've got 2 hydrangeas. This is a new variety to this year. It's called Let's Dance Sky View. This is like the classic New England big blue mop head hydrangea. So I have 2 of them right here. They're not really in bloom right now. There's a couple of buds on them, but one of the nurseries I went to had these for 30% off. So I figured I gotta pick them up and I have the perfect spot for them. And then the last thing is this lavender called Sensational. This is an improved variety of Phenomenal. Some people say it's not improved. Some people just say it's different. But I've been kind of on the lookout for this lavender for a while. I got a quart-sized plant and I'm really excited to put this in the ground. I don't know exactly where I'm gonna put this, but we will find a spot. So this spot right here is, I was standing up there on the table, and down here at the bottom of the stairs, there's these beautiful elephant ears that are not gonna survive after this season. But I do have other stuff that's gonna fill up where they're at, except for this front area on either side of the stairs. So I think it's gonna be beautiful to put 2 hydrangeas here, one on either side. The only issue is that I do have this rose here, because initially I had these 4 roses. They're a variety called Oh So Easy Italian Ice, and you can see that there is a longstalk holly. That's what that is there. So I've got these 4 roses. So I'm just going to take this one and then move it over this way, and then I can plant the 2 hydrangeas. Now further into the garden where there's this Quantum flowering cherry, I actually took out 3 Agastache that were here because I realized they were going to reseed prolifically if I kept them here. But there is 2 great blue lobelia, and then I have Monarda there. These are my native plants that I have here. And so I figured I wanted to put something in that had that like deeper purple color if I was going to be taking out the yellow that was here. So I'm going to do 1, 2, and then 3 of the penstemon that I just got, and I think that'll add a nice contrast to what's already here and add some height as well. I'm not super sure right now where I want to put the lavender, but I will figure that out as I plant everything. I may end up planting a couple other things while I'm going at it today. I'm not sure though, but I will definitely show you at the end what I end up planting and how everything looks. So with all that being said, let's get started. Okay, so it is a few hours later, and I actually did a lot more than I was expecting to do today, but I was just kind of in the mood to get going. So let me show you everything that I planted and then also transplanted. Okay, so first up are these two hydrangeas, which I already am totally in love with. So I cleaned up these elephant ears just so that way they wouldn't be in the way of the hydrangeas for the rest of the season. But again, those won't be there after this season. These hydrangeas, they're the variety Let's Dance Skyview. They're actually hardy in zones 4 through 8, which most of these types of hydrangeas are actually hardy in zone 5 through 9. You can see a flower bud on here, even though nothing is actually blooming right this moment. So I'll probably see that flower bud bloom this season, and then that'll probably be it out of these two. But they get about 3 feet tall, 4 feet wide, and I probably will have to recut this edge because I wanted to plant them far enough away so that way they wouldn't grow into the stairs. They're like a good 2 to 3 feet from the edge of where the stairs start. And you can see that I probably need to pull this out a little bit. So no big deal, but I can take care of that. So there's one there, and then one here. And if you remember the rose being here before, that rose I moved just over to this side, and it's over here. I cut it back a little bit. I'm not super concerned about it wilting or having a whole lot of transplant shock because it's been so wet here lately, so I don't think it's going to make too much of a difference. But you can kind of see that these four wrap around this here, and then that hydrangea too will kind of wrap around where this tree is. So I'll see next year if I need to, adjust these at all, but I think the four of them look pretty good right here. Now this next bed here, I didn't actually put anything in this bed. I was planning to plant some roses, as you may have seen, but I ended up changing my mind. What I did do was I had tomatoes in this bed, so I just took out the tomatoes because they're pretty much done for the season. And there was a bunch of grass growing in here because I didn't properly do like the cardboard and the whole sheet mulching method. Here I kind of I just did it maybe not as thick as I should have, so there was some grass growing. So I got rid of the grass, got rid of the roots, cleaned this whole area up. And if I walk over this way to this other side here, you can kind of get a good idea of what this bed looks like. So we've got this evergreen here, and then I have a couple Weigela, a Gaillardia. Now there are some heuchera that I did transplant a couple or a few weeks ago. They're just starting to push out new leaves. Here's another one that looks a little bit better. And there's the smoke bush here, and the rest of that are still vegetables that I'll get rid of. So I do want to fill in some more stuff here, but I decided not to plant the roses here because I think this bed gets more shade than I think it does. So I'd rather put more like part shade plants in here and have them overperform than trying to put roses in shade, because I already did that once and I don't want to do that again. Moving on from this bed though, if I look on this side over here, I ended up planting the 3 penstemon here, so the Midnight Masquerade. It's a little hard to see, but once this mulch is not so wet, it does actually lighten up to quite a light color. So having these deeper purple leaves is definitely going to contrast nicely with the mulch that I have. And then also everything else that's planted around it is just green, so it helps add some more contrast and just a different texture. But I am really excited to see when these do bloom next year, how they're gonna match up to this great blue lobelia. You can see kind of how pretty that is right there. So I did deadhead them for this season so they don't spread any seed, and also just to give them a little bit of a cleaned up look. But these are gonna hopefully root in, and that's pretty much all they're gonna do for this season. Now I did plant some other things in this bed as well. Everything else I planted is in this bed. So that Sensation lavender, or sensational, I ended up planting right here. This is a lavender that ends up getting like close to 3 feet wide, like tall and wide. So I have the lavender here. This is a Whisper Pink Catmint, and then I have another Hydrangea macrophylla here. So I think it's good for closer to the border, or like, the front border of the bed, but I really wanted to give it space to fill out. I do have some dahlias still planted in here, which those will be coming out probably in the next few weeks or so as we start to get cooler temperatures. And I did plant some roses in here. It's going to be hard to see the roses, but my thought process for it was right here is a type of beautyberry. I'm trying to remember the name of it right now. I can always throw it on the screen. Pearlglam, that's what this one's called. So this is Pearlglam. It has generally a more purple colored leaf to it. It's a little bronzy purple, and then you can see the berries. This is going to end up being kind of like a medium sized shrub. It ends up getting like 4 to 5 feet tall, but a little bit on the more narrow side. And my thought was, if I have this here, I wanted to do another shrub on the other side. So I have the 3 roses behind it, and they kind of encircle it. It's very hard to see because of the dahlias. But if I have this shrub here, so the Pearlglam here, I've got 1, 2, and then 3 roses that kind of make like a swoop around it, if that makes sense. Maybe you can kind of see it from this direction. So here's 1 rose, 2, and 3. And this is a variety called At Last. So I originally had these planted in the ground. They were in too much shade. There we go. I can get the camera to focus now. They were in too much shade beforehand, and then I had a rabbit or something eating them, so I dug them up, had them in pots. They stayed too wet because it's been raining like almost every single day. So these things have really been through the ringer, but I figured I'll just get them in the ground. Hopefully they'll do well here, and we'll just see what they do. So these will kind of be the middle section of the bed because they get to be a little bit taller. They're generally like 3 to 4 feet tall. And then as I move towards the front of this bed, you can see I have a tiny quickfire hydrangea, and then I also planted this here and this here today. This is actually just a tricolor sage, but it has a very strong ornamental value and property to it, which I really love. It just adds some brightness to it, and you can see there's kind of that purplish pink color, which ties in well with the tiny quickfire hydrangea color, and then I think is also going to contrast nicely with the At Last roses. So that's kind of what this bed looks like. It still is hard to see because there's all these dahlias here, and I can't step anywhere over here because I just started grass seed. So I'm just trying to give you as good of a view as I can. But I think next year when all this stuff really starts to bulk up and the dahlias aren't here, you'll get a much better view for what this is going to look like. Sorry if that was kind of confusing. I know it was a lot to say, but nonetheless, I think a lot of these plants are just on the smaller side right now, and once they really start to bulk up, it's gonna start to look beautiful. And once I get rid of the annuals too, you'll really start to see kind of the idea that I have in my head. It's hard to express what I do think in my mind and then actually putting that down in the video, but I think hopefully next season I'll give you a really good view of what this plant or what this whole bed is going to look like. And that pretty much gets full sun all day long, so I think the roses are going to do pretty well there. So besides that, I hope you guys like this video. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to let me know down below. And besides that, I will see you in the next video.